Family will be royally screwed if this budget bill gets passed. First things first, my husband works in a nursing home. If Medicare and Medicaid get cut, in a rural area in Ohio, what's the likelihood of that nursing home still being a thing once these cuts take effect? On top of that, if this bill got approved, my son will be 14 when these effects take place. My son is disabled. As a 14-year-old boy in the state of Ohio, you get assigned a caseworker that is with you, a social worker, okay, that is with you in high school. And they help you transition into adult life. They help you transition with skills and with therapy, several different factors. And that gets billed to Medicaid. Then we have to factor in the fact that they are trying to create block grants for all the states, which means they give the states one bucket of money and say, here you go, spend it how you need to, okay? And they're just saying, we trust that you're going to spend it this way, which increases the chance for our kids to not have funds for IDEA. You might be thinking, well, you still have rights, you can sue, right? The Republican administration cut half of the Department of Education offices across all states. And these departments help protect civil cases, which means it would take 2 years or more for his case to even be heard. Not completed, heard. AKA, we are not going to have a way to fight back. In the end, people need to face the fact that this is not budget reform. They are trying to erase our most vulnerable population. When we gut protections for our most vulnerable, we are not saving money, we are destroying lives.
A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us from. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And they said it was big, beautiful bill. But what they didn't say is that it will rip food from the mouths of the children, healthcare from the sick, and dignity from the elderly. Today's video is not it's not just about a reaction. It's about something deeper than politics. It's about survival, morality, and of course, betrayal. The Republican-led proposal to slash over $1 trillion from Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits, it's not just budgetary, it's surgical cruelty. And the people who are going to feel it the most are those who can't fight back: the disabled, the elderly, the children, and the poor. But here's the kicker. Some of the very people who voted these lawmakers into power are now realizing that they were lied to, betrayed. Their social safety nets are being shredded in real time, and it's hitting home and hitting super hard. You may think this is, this doesn't affect you, but trust me, it does. It affects the hospital that are shut down in your town, the nurse who might lose her job, the case worker your disabled child relies on. This is about more than the party lines. It's about the moral line we all draw in the sand. Well, today we're going to dive into what these cuts means, why they're happening, and who is really footing the bill for Americans' billionaire class. So grab a drink, and this one is going to sting as I unpack this chaos. I'll be back with further commentary.
They are cutting Medicare now. In the dark of night, the Republicans added $500 billion in cuts to Medicare. Let me tell you, as someone who's just gone through this with my mother, Medicare is wildly underfunded. The benefits, even with the supplement my mother paid extra for, were horrible. She could barely get out of bed to use the restroom safely without falling, and they would only pay for someone to come over the house 1 hour a week. The only facilities that would actually take her for full-time care had multiple violations for elder care abuse, were disgustingly filthy, and smelled of urine in the lobby. Cutting Medicare is an absolute horror show. It is absolutely cruel. You are talking about the elderly at the end of their life. It is already a horrible program that needs reform and more funding. And they, in the dark of night, added $500 billion worth of cuts. They are giving that money to the billionaires and to the wealthy in tax cuts. They don't care about any of us. They don't care if we go, and they don't care how horrible it is when we do.
No politician in his right mind would ever vote on a bill to cut Medicaid, especially a politician who has a midterm coming up. That, folks, is complete political suicide. But they're going to do it anyway. And that tells me one thing. They have midterms taken care of. Because it just does not match. Like you can't put those two together and make that make any type of sense whatsoever. I mean, you are going to hurt the American people like very few politicians ever hurt the American people. And you know that you are going to hurt the American people. And you lied about whether you were going to hurt the American people by cutting Medicaid. How many times did we hear that they weren't going to touch that when we all knew there was no way to get the figure they wanted without cutting it? And instead of taxing the rich, all right, they're just going to take from us. Complete, utter political suicide. But that's in normal times, and we don't live in normal times. But for this to happen just tells me what's coming. And I guess there's nothing we can do about it unless we get this regime out of DC.
Good morning, everybody. Just when you think Republicans couldn't fuck shit up anymore, they decide in their committee meeting last night at 1 a.m., mind you, that they're going to potentially add in $500 billion worth of Medicare cuts to this new budget bill. That's on top of them cutting Medicaid, SNAP benefits, and other things. I want to know what fucking alternate reality these people are living in. Republican representative from Missouri, Jason Smith, said this. He said, and I quote, "Americans voted for an America where workers and families will thrive again. Main Street and rural towns will grow again. And America wins again." Whose America are you talking about there, bud? Because it sure as hell isn't the people in your state when you cut their Medicare and Medicaid benefits. It sure as hell isn't the people in my state. So who are you talking about? God forbid Republicans increase taxes on billionaires. God forbid. Because they wouldn't have to cut Medicaid and Medicare if they just made billionaires pay the taxes that they actually owed or made them pay a fair share of taxes. It's like they somehow think that if they raise taxes on billionaires and super wealthy, that they're somehow going to end up destitute within like 5 months. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Elon Musk is not going to be eating beans and weenies anytime soon because he runs out of fucking money from paying extra taxes. Jeff Bezos is not going to be on a street corner begging with a fucking cup in his hand because he can't bring in enough money from Amazon and all his stock options. It's just not fucking logical. But you know what it is? It's the fact that those billionaires donate more money to campaigns like this dipshit from Missouri and to people like Mike Johnson and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and all those fucking pieces of trash in Congress. On both sides, actually. They're the reason that people in my family may lose their Medicaid.
You are making the biggest cuts to Medicaid in American history. As a result of this bill, nearly 14 million Americans will lose their health care, and millions more will pay higher premiums, co-pays, and deductibles. That's just a fact. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, and people will die. And not a single one of the proposals in your bill is about making Medicaid work better. Not one. Your bill doesn't save Medicaid. Your bill destroys Medicaid. We can and we should make Medicaid work better. Absolutely. Instead, your bill creates more red tape, more hurdles, and kicks struggling people off their health insurance. Now, who asked for this garbage? I mean, more red tape? Oh, boy. And if that's not bad enough, you are making the biggest cut to food assistance in American history.
Well, yeah, the groundwork is there to cut Medicaid. It also is laying the groundwork for, they don't exactly call it cuts, but Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid are both in here, or all three in here. And the line that they're using is, it is to protect these three core programs from fraud, waste, and abuse. We all know what that means. So, the other thing that is in here is to raise the debt ceiling $4 trillion. I've got my coffee. Let's go talk about it, because this is going to change the lives of 8.5 million people, and not in a good way.
I think a lot of us are pretty sick of calling our state representative, but if there was ever a time to do it, you should do it right now. The irony of them calling it a big, beautiful bill is so disgusting. I don't know what is beautiful about slashing $880 billion to Medicaid. This is going to have catastrophic consequences. Hospitals will close. The amount of people that are going to lose their coverage, prenatal care, addiction care, nursing home care, long-term care, people who can't take care of themselves and need to be placed somewhere. That's Medicaid. That is Medicaid. And you want to slash $880 billion from this friggin' crucial program for tax cuts for the rich. I am so disgusted. If you are a conservative person, I don't know what happened to your soul.
Anything other than a vote protecting and expanding Medicaid is literally a vote against people living. It's a vote against people living. And who are the main recipients of Medicaid? It's literally elderly people and children. You're voting against grandparents and children. These ongoing talks of, oh my gosh, third meeting in the middle of the night. Yeah, it's because they know they're doing evil things. Because I grew up on our kids. I grew up on Medicaid. I'm not on Medicaid anymore, but it should be there. What the heck do we pay taxes for? We get taxed whenever we make money, whenever we buy food, whenever we have things like a car. We're taxed constantly. And the least that we could literally ask is knowing that kids aren't gonna die of cancer because their parents are poor, or that our elderly are going to be able to afford their Medicare because their Part B literally covers it.
Okay, you call yourself a Republican. Are you okay with cutting Medicaid? Are you okay with cutting food programs that feed the needy? Are you okay with cutting energy programs that keep the heat on for seniors and kids? Are you for that? Because that's what the Trump bill does. It cuts 13.5 million people off of health care. 13.5 million people will have no coverage if this passes. Tens of thousands of kids will be kicked off of food programs. They won't be able to get food. And countless numbers of seniors will have their power shut off at important times like during the winter. This is the Republican bill. And my question to you is, do you call yourself a Republican? And if you do, why are you for something so terrible? I'm just asking.
Hey, MAGA. Republicans decided last night, early wee hours, to sneak in cuts to Medicare. Medicare. Not just Medicaid. Now it's Medicare. They just snuck it in. You know why? Because they need money for those tax cuts. That's all they care about.
So last night, while all the Americans were sleeping, the House was busy passing that big, beautiful bill cutting Medicaid and food stamps to the poorest people. That's right, it goes on to the next step after changes have been made that we have no idea what they are. Considering that Republicans that voted against it the other day said there wasn't enough cuts to Medicaid and food stamps, while these sit in the Congress and get free health care, while they say you to the rest of us. How in the world can you still support these
So in order to pay for Trump's tax cuts to the rich, the Republicans are cutting $1 trillion from Medicaid and food stamps. We're going to give more to the 1% by taking more away from those living below the poverty line.
Do you MAGA nurses, I can't believe that's a fucking demographic that exists, but do you MAGA nurses not realize that if these Medicaid cuts come through, you're gonna lose your job? Like, nursing homes and rural hospitals and mental health facilities, those places are gonna shut down. You're not gonna have a job. Like, nursing, which has always been this safety net, like, oh, I can always find a job anywhere, it's gonna completely ruin it. Like, I know you don't care about poor people or elderly or disabled, but have some fucking self-preservation. Your cult is so embarrassing.
And confirmed. Not only will the big beautiful bill be cutting Medicaid and SNAP, it'll also be cutting Medicare as well, in the amount of $1.2 trillion.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
So, let's break this down. First, going to talk about the facts. Republicans have proposed $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid, another $500 billion to Medicare, and the largest food assistance cut in American history, all while keeping Trump's cuts for billionaires firmly in place. So, what does this mean in real life? It means 14 million Americans could lose their health coverage. It means rural hospitals closing their doors, nursing homes shutting down, and people literally dying from lack of care. Prenatal care gone, long-term addiction care unfunded, nursing home services for your grandmother on the chopping block. For those on SNAP, tens of thousands of families will be cut off. Kids will go to bed hungry. And for many, it will be the first time they feel this level of abandonment in a country that brags about being the richest on earth. Now, here is where the irony burns. Some MAGA voters, the ones who cheer these politicians into office, are now the loudest voices online, crying betrayal. And let's be honest, they were warned, but now their grandparents, their disabled children, their own food benefits are all under threat. Let me be clear. These cuts are not reforms. They are erasures. They are turning the American dream into a dystopian reality for the most vulnerable. And for the justification, fraud, waste, abuse, that's all they can say. But how is gutting Medicaid or kicking kids off stopping fraud? It's not. It's smokes and mirror. The real goal is to funnel money to billionaires, corporate donors, and the only 1%. They say we can't afford to care for our poor, but we can afford to fund tax breaks for the rich. That's not economics. That's pure exploitation. Well, I don't want to get emotional with this, but guys, listen up. Let's talk about the consequences. And I mean real consequences, not just statistics on paper, but lives shattered. Imagine your child is battling cancer and you just got a notice that Medicaid won't cover the new treatment. Or you are a senior citizen choosing between medication and keeping the heat of this winter because the energy assistance you relied on has been slashed. This is what's coming for you Americans, and not in some future distance. It's already beginning. Hospitals across rural America are issuing warnings. Mental health clinics are closing doors. Parents are posting online, desperate for help because case workers and therapists covered by Medicaid are being eliminated. And who benefits from all this? Of course, billionaires who fund political campaigns and want more tax breaks. Corporate elites who care more about their bottom line than your life. The same people who pay fewer taxes than you while calling social programs handles, all while cashing in on government subsidies themselves. What's even more disturbing is how sneaky this all was. These cuts weren't debated openly. They were snuck in during 1 a.m. committee meetings. Passed while you slept. They didn't want you to know because they knew you wouldn't stand for it. And MAGA voters, listen, I say this with no malice, but it's too late for the oops, I didn't know. This is the reality that you voted for. And yes, you were lied to. But millions of us told you this will happen. Now the tragedy is even those who didn't even vote for these cars are going to suffer. So what are we going to do now? First, we need to stop pretending that this is just partisan politics. This is a moral crisis. If you care about the people, period, this should anger you. Left, right, and center. If you get a soul, this should light a fire in you. Second, people must organize and vote, but not just vote. Vote informed. Don't just vote for slogans or pretty sound bites. Ask real questions. Look at policy, not personality. Third, you need to speak up. Share this video. Talk to your family. Challenge the lies. Don't let them do this in silence. Because the more you stay silent, the more they will take. America has the money. America has the resources. But they lack the will to care more about people than profits. The next few years will define how America would be. Will you let the most vulnerable suffer when billionaires get richer, or will you fight for a society that lifts everyone? I know where you stand, and I know many of you too do. But if still watching, thank you for caring. Thank you for not looking away. And the fight starts now. So like, subscribe, share this video if you believe healthcare, food, and dignity are human rights. I hope to see you in my next video. Peace out.